The glass slipped from her hand at exactly 11:47 p.m. Isabella Vaughn, the woman who controlled half of Chicago's skyline, who never stumbled, never faltered, was about to collapse in front of 200 people who would destroy her for it. Logan Pierce saw it happen. The way her eyes lost focus, the predator circling closer. He had 30 seconds to decide. Stay invisible like he was supposed to, or step into the fire. By morning, everything would change. But right now he just moved. Stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and comment your city below. I want to see how far this story travels. 3 years of single fatherhood had taught Logan Pierce exactly two things: how to function on 4 hours of sleep and how to spot danger before it arrived. Tonight, Danger wore a $1,500 suit and had been watching Isabella Vaughn for the past 20 minutes. Logan stood near the bar at the Arcadia Hotel's grand ballroom, nursing the same whiskey he'd ordered 40 minutes ago. Company events weren't his scene. Hell, crowds weren't his scene. But when you worked at Vaughn and Associates, when you were the newest senior analyst at one of Chicago's most ruthless consulting firms, you showed up, you smiled, you pretended networking didn't feel like swallowing glass. He checked his phone. 11:34 p.m. His daughter Mia's babysitter had texted 20 minutes ago. She's asleep. Take your time. He wouldn't. He never did. The ballroom buzzed with the particular energy of people trying too hard. Forced laughter, strategic conversations, champagne flowing like the company's third-quarter profits depended on it. 200 executives, consultants, and investors packed into a space designed for elegance, but feeling more like a cage. Logan had positioned himself in the corner, exactly where he wanted to be. Visible enough not to seem antisocial, invisible enough to avoid conversation. It was a skill he'd perfected over the past 3 years. Blend in, don't attract attention, get home to Mia. But then he'd seen her. Isabella Vaughn stood near the main bar, surrounded by a rotating cast of admirers and sycophants. At 30, she was the youngest self-made billionaire in Chicago, a fact repeated so often it had lost meaning. What mattered was the empire she'd built: 15 companies, 30,000 employees, and a reputation for being absolutely untouchable. Logan had worked at Vaughn and Associates for 8 months. He'd been in exactly 3 meetings with her. Each time, she'd been the same: controlled, precise, terrifyingly brilliant. She spoke in 1 sentences, made decisions in seconds, and never showed weakness. Until tonight. He'd noticed it around 11:15. The way her hand gripped her champagne flute a fraction too tight. The way her smile stayed fixed but her eyes went somewhere else. The way she accepted another drink when she should have stopped 2 ago. Nobody else saw it. Or maybe they saw it and pretended not to. But Logan had learned to read people in rooms like this. When you're a single father navigating corporate America, when you're raising a 6-year-old daughter alone while competing with people who sleep 4 hours because they choose to, not because they're up with a kid who had a nightmare, you learn. You watch. You notice what others miss. And right now he noticed Marcus Webb. Webb was a partner at a competing firm. Mid-40s, expensive watch, reputation for being charming until he wasn't. Logan had heard the stories, whispered in break rooms, shared in carefully worded warnings. Webb didn't take no easily. He didn't take no at all. And he was moving closer to Isabella. Logan watched Webb navigate the crowd with practiced ease, angling toward where Isabella stood. She was alone now. Her previous conversation partners had drifted away, leaving her exposed in a way she probably didn't realize. Webb said something. Isabella smiled, but it was wrong. Too slow, too loose. Logan's jaw tightened. Not your problem, he thought. Not your business. Isabella Vaughn was a billionaire. She had security. She had assistants. She had an entire ecosystem designed to protect her, except none of them were paying attention right now. Webb moved closer. His hand touched Isabella's elbow, casual, friendly, the gesture of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Logan saw Isabella's posture shift, saw her try to pull back, saw Webb's grip tighten just enough. 30 seconds. That's all the time he had. Logan moved. He didn't run, didn't rush. Running would draw attention, and attention was the last thing she needed right now. Instead, he walked with purpose, weaving through conversations and clusters of people, closing the distance between them. As he approached, he heard Webb's voice, low, intimate, too close. "You look like you could use some air. I know a place. Ms. Vaughn. Logan's voice cut through smooth and professional. Sorry to interrupt. Quick question about tomorrow's presentation. Both of them turned. Webb's expression flickered with annoyance. Isabella's eyes took a moment to focus, like she was pulling herself back from somewhere far away. Pierce. Webb's tone was ice wrapped in politeness. We're in the middle of a conversation. I can see that. Logan kept his eyes on Isabella. The numbers from the Stratham account, you wanted them by morning, right? I just want to make sure I'm using the correct baseline. It was complete bullshit. There was no Stratham account, no presentation. But Isabella Vaughn was brilliant, even when impaired, and Logan was betting she'd recognize the lifeline. For a fraction of a second, confusion crossed her face. Then something else, understanding, maybe relief, flickered in her eyes. Yes. Her voice was controlled, but he could hear the effort behind it. The baseline. We should review that. Webb's hand was still on her elbow. This can wait until Monday, can it? No. Isabella pulled away, and this time Webb let her go. No, it can't. Pierce, let's... She gestured vaguely toward the exit. Logan offered his arm. This way. For a moment he thought she'd refuse. Isabella Vaughn didn't need help, didn't accept it, didn't show weakness. But then her hand settled on his arm, lighter than it should be, like she was afraid of putting too much weight on him. And they moved. Webb watched them leave. Logan felt the man stare like a blade between his shoulder blades, but he didn't look back. He kept his pace steady, his expression neutral, his focus on getting Isabella out of that room. They made it through the ballroom doors and into the marble-floored hallway beyond. The noise of the party faded to a dull roar behind them. Isabella immediately pulled away, putting distance between them. I'm fine. I know. I don't need... She wavered, hand reaching for the wall. Logan caught her elbow, gentle, not controlling. Easy. Don't. Her voice sharpened. Don't treat me like I'm... Like you've had 4 drinks on an empty stomach? He kept his tone matter-of-fact. I'm not treating you like anything. I'm making sure you don't crack your head on Italian marble. She stared at him, and for a moment he saw past the armor, saw exhaustion, frustration, something that might have been shame. How did you know? She asked quietly. Know what? That I needed... She stopped. Reset. The baseline thing. The Stratham account. None of that's real. No. So why? Because Webb's a predator. Logan's voice went flat. And you looked like you needed an exit. Isabella's laugh was sharp, bitter. I'm Isabella Vaughn. I don't need exits. I create them. Sure. Logan glanced back toward the ballroom. You want to go back in there and prove it? Her silence was answer enough. Come on. He started walking toward the main entrance. Let's get you home. I have a car, a driver. Where? She blinked. I don't remember. Okay, we'll call one. I don't need your help, Mr. Pierce. He stopped, turned to face her fully. I know you don't, but I'm offering it anyway. You can accept it, or you can stand here arguing while Webb decides whether to follow us out. Your call. Isabella's jaw tightened. For a moment he thought she'd dismiss him, call her own security, reassert control. Instead she said, fine. They made it outside into the November cold. The air hit like a slap, sharp and clarifying. Isabella pulled her coat tighter, breath misting in the streetlight. Logan's phone was already out, pulling up a car service. Where do you live? I'm not telling you where I live. Then tell the driver. She rattled off an address in Gold Coast, because of course she lived in Gold Coast, and Logan relayed it to the app. 3 minutes away. They stood in silence, watching traffic pass on Michigan Avenue. The city hummed around them, indifferent and beautiful. You didn't have to do that, Isabella said, finally. I know. Webb will remember. He'll make it difficult for you. Let him. She turned to look at him, really look at him, maybe for the first time. You're not afraid of him. I'm terrified of him. Logan kept his eyes on the street. But I'm more afraid of what happens if I don't do the right thing. The right thing. She said it like she was testing the words. That's quaint. It's survival. Is it? There was something raw in her voice now. Because from where I'm standing, The right thing gets you crushed, gets you used, gets you... She stopped herself. The car pulled up. Black sedan, clean, professional. Logan opened the door. Isabella hesitated, and he could see her pride warring with practicality. "I'm not going to tell anyone," he said quietly, "if that's what you're worried about." "Why should I believe you?" "Because I've got a 6-year-old daughter who needs me to keep this job. Last thing I'm going to do is create problems for myself." Something shifted in her expression. Not softening exactly, but recognition, maybe. She got in the car. Logan started to close the door, but her hand caught it. "Thank you." The words came out stiff, like she wasn't used to saying them. For noticing. Anyone would have. No. Her eyes held his. They wouldn't. They didn't. The moment stretched, uncomfortable and honest. Then Isabella pulled the door closed, and the car merged into traffic. Logan stood on the sidewalk, watching the taillights disappear. His heart was hammering, adrenaline finally catching up. He'd just interfered with his boss, his billionaire boss. He'd seen her vulnerable, helped her when she didn't ask for it, inserted himself into a situation that was absolutely none of his business. He was either getting fired or getting sued, probably both. His phone buzzed, text from Mia's babysitter. "Everything okay?" Logan typed back, "On my way home." He headed for the L station, hands shoved in his pockets, trying not to think about what Monday morning would bring. Behind him, the Arcadia Hotel glittered against the night sky, full of people who would never know what had happened, who would wake up tomorrow still believing Isabella Vaughn was untouchable. Logan knew different now, and that knowledge felt dangerous. The apartment was quiet when he got home. Emma, the babysitter, looked up from her textbook. "She went down around 8:30. No problems." "Thanks." Logan paid her, added an extra 20 for the late hour. "See you Tuesday?" "Yeah, good night, Mr. Pierce." After she left, Logan checked on Mia. His daughter was sprawled across her bed, one arm flung over her stuffed elephant, hair tangled on the pillow. 6 years old and already so independent it terrified him. He kissed her forehead, pulled the blanket up, and stood there in the doorway longer than he needed to. Some nights, the weight of it all tried to crush him. The rent, the job, the constant calculation of whether he was doing enough, being enough, giving Mia the life she deserved. He'd been a single father for 3 years, since the morning Rachel packed 2 suitcases and told him she couldn't do it anymore, couldn't do them anymore. "I love her," Rachel had said, crying, "but I can't be this. Can't be a mother, can't be married. I'm suffocating, Logan. I'm disappearing." He'd wanted to be angry, wanted to hate her for leaving, for choosing herself over their daughter. But mostly, he'd just been terrified. Because suddenly it was just him and Mia against everything. He'd gotten through it, worked harder, slept less, learned to braid hair from YouTube videos and negotiate with a 6-year-old over vegetable consumption. He'd built a life that functioned, that worked, that kept Mia safe and happy and loved. But it was exhausting. And tonight, standing in his daughter's doorway at 12:47 a.m., Logan felt every single hour of the past 3 years pressing down on his shoulders. He closed Mia's door and headed to his own room. Tomorrow was Saturday. He'd make pancakes. They'd go to the park if the weather held. Normal weekend things. He tried not to think about Monday. Tried not to think about Isabella Vaughn's eyes when she'd said thank you. Tried not to wonder what happened next. Sleep didn't come easily. Logan lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the night. Webb's hand on Isabella's arm, the way she'd tried to pull away. The split-second decision that had sent him walking across that ballroom. He'd done the right thing, he knew that, but right didn't always mean safe. His phone lit up on the nightstand. 1:23 a.m. Text from an unknown number. "This is Isabella Vaughn. I need to see you Monday. 9 a.m. Not at the office. I'll send an address." Logan stared at the message. Read it 3 times. "I need to see you." Not "I want." Not "please schedule." Need. His thumb hovered over the keyboard. A dozen responses formed and dissolved. "Yes, ma'am." "Too formal." "Sure." "Too casual." "Is everything okay?" "Too personal." Finally, he typed, "I'll be there." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "Thank you." The conversation ended. Logan set the phone down, but sleep was impossible now. He kept seeing her in that hallway, armor cracked, admitting she didn't remember where her car was. Kept hearing her voice when she'd said, they wouldn't. They didn't. Isabella Vaughn was supposed to be untouchable. That's what everyone said, what the magazines wrote, what the business profiles emphasized. But Logan had touched that life tonight, had seen behind it, and now she wanted to see him. Monday at 9 a.m. He should be worried, should be preparing for damage control, for HR meetings, for whatever consequences came from interfering with his boss's personal life. Instead, he was curious, because for just a moment in that hallway, Isabella Vaughn had been real. Not the billionaire, not the untouchable CEO, just a woman who'd had too much to drink and needed help she couldn't ask for. Just human. And Logan knew from experience how much that could cost. That Saturday morning arrived with Mia jumping on his bed at 7:15. Pancakes, she announced, like this was breaking news. You promised. I did. Logan pulled her into a hug, breathing in the kid smell of her, shampoo and sleep, and something indefinably Mia. Give me 10 minutes. 5 minutes. 7. 6. Deal. She raced off to get dressed, and Logan dragged himself to the shower. The hot water helped, but couldn't quite wash away the feeling that his life had shifted last night, that something had started that he couldn't stop. He made pancakes. Mia drowned hers in syrup and chattered about her friend Emma's birthday party next week and how she needed a costume for the school play, and did Dad know that penguins mate for life? I did not know that, Logan said, filing away costume and birthday present in the mental list of things to handle. Miss Rodriguez told us. She said it means they stay together forever. Mia looked up at him with maple syrup on her chin. Like you and Mommy were supposed to. Logan's chest tightened. Yeah, baby, like that. But Mommy left. She did. Do you miss her? These conversations always came without warning. Mia would be fine for weeks, and then suddenly she'd ask questions that felt like landmines. Logan set down his coffee. Sometimes, but mostly I'm focused on us, on you and me. I miss her sometimes too. Mia's voice got small. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. He reached across the table, squeezed her hand. You can miss her, and love her, and be angry at her all at the same time. Feelings are weird like that. Feelings are stupid. He laughed despite himself. Sometimes, yeah. They finished breakfast. Mia helped clean up, or helped, which mostly meant rearranging dishes while Logan actually washed them. Then they bundled up and headed to the park. The November air was sharp, but not unbearable. Mia ran ahead to the playground, and Logan found a bench where he could watch her. She was fearless on the monkey bars, had been since she was 4. Rachel used to worry she'd fall, but Logan had learned to let her try. Let her risk. Sometimes you had to. His phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number, Isabella. Address, Lucia's Cafe, corner of State and Oak. See you Monday. Not a question, not a request, a certainty. Logan pocketed the phone and watched his daughter play. Monday felt far away, and too close all at once. Sunday passed in the usual blur of laundry and groceries and Mia's homework. She had a math worksheet that made Logan's brain hurt. When had first grade math gotten this complicated? And a book report due Tuesday about a story where a bear learned to share. Do you think the bear was happy sharing? Mia asked while Logan made dinner. I don't know. Was he? The book says yes, but I think maybe he was just being polite. Logan smiled. Why do you think that? Because sometimes people are polite even when they're sad. Like when Mommy left, you were polite to everyone, but I know you were sad. He stopped chopping vegetables, turned to look at his daughter, who was 6 years old and too perceptive for her own good. You're right, he said quietly. I was sad, but I was also okay, because I had you. That's what the bear should have said, instead of just, I'm happy to share. Maybe you should write that in your report. Mia considered this. Miss Rodriguez might not like it. Miss Rodriguez will love it, because it's honest. She grinned and went back to drawing a picture of the bear, and Logan went back to dinner, and the moment passed. But it stayed with him. Sometimes people are polite even when they're sad. Yeah, sometimes they were. Monday morning came with rain. Logan dropped Mia at school, watched her run through the doors with her backpack bouncing, and then pointed his car toward downtown, toward State and Oak, toward whatever Isabella Vaughn needed to say. Lucia's cafe was small, tucked between a bookstore and a boutique law firm, the kind of place that served $8 coffee and had exactly 12 tables. Logan arrived at 8:52 and ordered an Americano he didn't need. Isabella walked in at 8:59. She wore black pants, a gray sweater, no makeup. Her hair was pulled back. She looked normal, which somehow made her more intimidating, not less. She spotted him, walked over, sat down without preamble. "Thank you for coming." "Of course." A waitress appeared. Isabella ordered tea. They sat in silence until it arrived. Then Isabella said, "I was going to a race Friday night." Logan waited. "I was going to pretend it didn't happen. Send an email thanking you for your assistance. Make sure you understood confidentiality expectations, and move on." She wrapped her hands around the tea mug. "That's what I've always done. When things get complicated." "Okay. But I can't do that this time." She looked up at him. "Because you didn't use it." "Use what?" "My weakness. She stopped. Started again. "You saw me vulnerable. You helped me. And then you left. You didn't ask for anything. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't try to leverage it. Why would I?" "Because that's what people do." Her voice was flat. "That's what people have always done." Logan thought about that. About the world she must live in, where kindness came with price tags. Where vulnerability was currency. "I'm not trying to leverage anything," he said quietly. "I just didn't want Webb to hurt you." "You don't even know me." "I know enough." "Do you?" She leaned forward slightly. "What do you know, Logan?" He considered the question. "I know you work 80-hour weeks. I know you're brilliant and terrifying and you don't suffer fools. I know everyone's afraid of you, including me." He paused. "And I know that Friday night, you were a person who needed help. That's all I needed to know." Isabella was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I haven't had anyone just help me, not in years, maybe ever, without wanting something. Everyone wants something. And you? I want to keep my job and raise my daughter. That's it." "Your daughter?" Isabella's expression shifted slightly. "How old?" 6. "And her mother?" "Not in the picture." Understanding flickered in Isabella's eyes. "So you're doing it alone?" "Yeah." "That must be terrifying." "Every single day," Logan admitted. "But you keep going. What else is there?" Isabella smiled, small, sad, genuine. "What else is there?" They sat with that for a moment. Then Isabella said, "I wanted to thank you, properly, and to tell you that what happened Friday night doesn't leave this table." Logan finished. "I know." "You're not curious? Don't want to know why I was drinking, why I was alone, Not my business. Most people would make it their business. I'm not most people." "No." Isabella studied him. "You're not." The cafe hummed around them. Someone laughed at a nearby table. Rain drummed against the windows. "I was married," Isabella said suddenly. 2 years. Ended a year ago. He said I love my work more than I loved him. He was probably right. Her fingers tightened on the mug. "And my father calls every week to tell me I'm wasting my potential, that I should settle down, have children, stop trying to prove myself. As if building a billion-dollar company is just rebellion." Logan listened, didn't interrupt. "And Friday was the anniversary of my divorce. And my father called that morning to tell me I was turning 30 and running out of time to have a real life." Her laugh was bitter. "So I went to that event and I drank too much because I was angry, because I'm so tired of being perfect, of being controlled, of never being allowed to just..." She stopped. "I'm sorry, you didn't sign up for this." "I asked what you wanted," Logan said. "Sounds like you want to be seen, actually seen, not just the untouchable billionaire everyone's afraid of." Isabella's eyes glistened. She blinked it away. "I don't cry. Everyone cries. Not me. Not in years. Maybe you should." She looked at him like he'd suggested something revolutionary. "You're very strange, Logan Pierce." I get that a lot. For the first time, her smile reached her eyes. I'm glad you were there Friday. I'm glad it was you. Me too. They talked for another hour. Not about work, not about business. About small things. Mia's school play, Isabella's frustration with her board of directors, Logan's complete inability to understand first-grade math, Isabella's secret love of terrible reality TV. They talked like people. Just people. And when they finally left the cafe, stepping back into the rain-soaked morning, Logan felt something shift. Something he couldn't quite name. I'll see you at the office, Isabella said, pulling up her hood. Yeah. She started to walk away. Stopped. Turned back. Logan? Yeah? You were right. Friday night, when you said sometimes that's when it matters most. She held his gaze. It did matter. It does. Before he could respond, she was gone, disappearing into the Monday morning crowd. Logan stood there in the rain, coffee getting cold in his hand, and wondered what the hell he'd just stepped into. Whatever it was, it didn't feel safe, but it felt real. And after 3 years of just surviving, real felt like oxygen. The office felt different on Tuesday morning. Logan couldn't explain it. Same gray cubicles, same fluorescent lights humming overhead, same smell of burnt coffee from the break room. But something had shifted, like the air pressure had changed, and he was the only one who noticed. He kept his head down, ran his reports, answered emails, normal Tuesday things. Except nothing felt normal anymore. At 10:47 a.m., his desk phone rang. Pierce? He didn't look up from his spreadsheet. Mr. Pierce, this is Jennifer from Ms. Vaughn's office. She'd like to see you at 2 o'clock. His hand stilled on the mouse. Today? Yes, conference room C. She'll meet you there. The line went dead before he could respond. Logan stared at the phone. Conference room C was on the executive floor. Small, private, soundproof. The kind of room where people got promoted or fired, and you never knew which until you walked in. Everything okay? Sarah from accounting leaned over the cubicle wall, eyebrows raised. Yeah, fine. You look like you've seen a ghost. Just need more coffee. He didn't get coffee. He sat there trying to focus on numbers that wouldn't stop blurring, checking the clock every 3 minutes until it was finally time. The elevator ride to the 15th floor took forever. Logan straightened his tie twice, ran a hand through his hair, told himself this was probably nothing. Just a follow-up to Monday's conversation. Maybe she wanted to clarify expectations, set boundaries. Maybe she was going to fire him. Conference room C had glass walls overlooking the Chicago skyline. Isabella was already there when he arrived, standing by the window, staring out at the city like she was trying to memorize it. She turned when he entered. Close the door. He did. Sit. He sat. Isabella didn't. She stayed by the window, arms crossed, that familiar armor back in place. CEO mode. Untouchable again. I made a mistake yesterday, she said. Logan's stomach dropped. Okay. I told you things I shouldn't have. Personal things. And I need to know. She stopped, recalibrated. I need to be certain those things stay between us. They will. You say that now. I said it yesterday too. I meant it then. I mean it now. She studied him, and he could see the calculation happening behind her eyes. Trust didn't come easy for her. Maybe it never had. Why, she asked finally. Why help me? Why keep my secrets? What do you actually want, Logan? He'd been thinking about that question since Monday. Had turned it over in his mind during Mia's bedtime story, during his morning shower, during the endless elevator ride up here. I want, he said slowly, to be the kind of person my daughter can be proud of. That's it. That's all. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Isabella moved to the table, sat across from him. Without the window backlight, he could see the exhaustion in her face, the lines around her eyes. She looked older than 30, looked like someone who'd been carrying weight too long. I don't know how to do this, she admitted quietly. Do what? This, whatever this is, being vulnerable with someone, trusting someone. I've built my entire life around not needing anyone, and now, she stopped. You saw me weak. You saw me fail. And instead of destroying me with it, you just helped. I don't understand it. Logan leaned forward. You weren't weak. You were drunk, and some asshole was taking advantage. That's not weakness. That's just being human in a room full of predators. I should have been stronger. Says who? Everyone. My father, my ex-husband, every business magazine that calls me Ice Queen or the untouchable billionaire. Her laugh was sharp. You know what they don't tell you about being untouchable? It's lonely. It's so fucking lonely. The profanity caught him off guard. It felt real, unpolished. So stop, he said. Stop what? Being untouchable, be touchable, be human. The world won't end. Won't it? Her eyes locked on his. In my world, vulnerability is blood in the water. Sharks circle, competitors attack, weakness gets exploited. Maybe you're swimming with the wrong people. Maybe I don't have a choice. They sat in silence. Outside, the city stretched endlessly, indifferent to whatever was happening in this small glass box 15 floors up. Tell me about your daughter, Isabella said suddenly. The subject changed through him. Mia. You mentioned her yesterday. 6 years old, loves the monkey bars. You remember that? I remember everything. She waved a hand. Occupational hazard. Tell me about her. Logan wasn't sure where this was going, but he answered anyway. She's smart. Too smart sometimes. Asks questions I don't know how to answer. Like last week she asked why people die if we're supposed to be important. What did you say? The dying makes us important. Because our time matters. Because we don't last forever, so we have to make it count. Isabella's expression softened. That's beautiful. She told me it was sad. It's both. Yeah. Logan smiled despite himself. She's like that, sees things clearly. No filter. Her mom used to worry about it, said she needed to learn when to be quiet. But I think... He stopped. What? I think being quiet is overrated. I think maybe the world needs more people who say what they're actually thinking. Isabella looked at him for a long moment. You're talking about me. I'm talking about everyone, including you, including me. He met her gaze. We spend so much time performing, being what people expect. Maybe that's the actual weakness. Philosophy from a financial analyst. I have layers. She almost smiled. Apparently, his phone buzzed. Text from Mia's school. Mia has a fever. Please pick up ASAP. Logan stood immediately. I have to go. My daughter... Is she okay? Fever. School wants me to get her. Go. Isabella stood too. Of course, go. He was halfway to the door when she called his name. Logan? He turned. Thank you for this, for yesterday, for not making me feel crazy. You're not crazy? Sometimes I'm not sure. He wanted to say something reassuring, something perfect. But Mia was waiting, and perfect wasn't what Isabella needed anyway. None of us are sure, he said. That's the secret. Then he was gone, jogging to the elevator, calling the school to tell them he was on his way. Behind him, Isabella stood alone in the conference room, staring at the empty doorway, wondering when the last time was that someone had chosen their child over a conversation with her, wondering why that mattered, wondering why Logan Pierce, a mid-level analyst with a 6-year-old daughter and too much integrity, was the first person in years who didn't feel dangerous. The elevator descended, carrying Logan back to the ground floor, back to his real life. To Mia, with a fever and missed work hours, and the constant juggling act of being enough for everyone while barely being enough for himself. He didn't think about Isabella again until much later. Didn't think about the way she'd looked when she said, I don't know how to do this. Didn't think about how familiar that feeling was. Not until Mia was asleep and the apartment was quiet and his phone lit up with a text from an unknown number that he now recognized. Is your daughter okay? He stared at it, typed, Fever broke. She's fine. Thank you for asking. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I'm glad. Then, I meant what I said, about not knowing how to do this. Logan sat on his couch in the dark, Mia's soft breathing audible from her room, and typed, Nobody does. We're all just figuring it out. That's terrifying. Yeah, but you do it anyway. For your daughter. I don't have a choice. You do. You could run. Lots of parents run. He thought about Rachel, about the morning she left, about how he'd wanted to run too, wanted to disappear under the weight of it all. Running doesn't solve anything. Just makes the distance longer when you finally turn around. The response took a while. I've been running for a long time. From what? Everything. Expectations. Failure. Myself. Logan didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know if there was anything to say. Finally, he typed, "Maybe it's time to stop. I don't know if I can. Try anyway." Why? Because you asked me what I want. I want to see what happens when Isabella Vaughn stops running. I think it might be something worth seeing. Red receipt showed she'd seen it, but no response came. Logan set his phone down and closed his eyes, exhaustion finally catching up. He didn't hear the phone buzz again 20 minutes later. Didn't see the message that said simply, "Thank you." The week spun out in strange patterns. Wednesday brought a company-wide email announcing a new initiative. Isabella was restructuring 3 departments, implementing new performance metrics, pushing for efficiency. The office buzzed with anxiety and speculation. Logan kept his head down and did his job. Thursday, he got called into a meeting with his department head. They wanted him on a new project, high profile, working directly with executive leadership. It came with a raise. Not huge, but enough to matter. Enough to maybe afford a better apartment, a safer neighborhood. "You've impressed people," his boss said. "Keep it up." Logan didn't ask which people, didn't want to know. Friday afternoon, he was leaving when he passed Isabella in the lobby. She was surrounded by assistants, talking on her phone, moving with purpose. Their eyes met for half a second. She didn't acknowledge him. He didn't expect her to. But something flickered in her expression. Recognition. Maybe gratitude. Then she was gone, out the revolving doors and into a waiting car. Logan went home to Mia. They made spaghetti and watched a movie about talking animals. Normal Friday night things. Except his phone buzzed at 10:34 p.m. "Are you awake?" "Isabella." "Yeah. Everything okay? Can we talk?" "Not about work." He glanced at Mia's closed door, listened to make sure she was asleep. "Sure." His phone rang immediately. "Hi." Isabella's voice was quiet, slightly rough. "Hey. I'm sorry, I know it's late. She paused. "I needed to talk to someone who won't judge me." "I'm not judging." "You don't know what I'm about to say." "Still not judging." He heard her exhale. "I fired someone today, a director. He'd been with the company 8 years, has 2 kids, and I fired him because he missed his quarterly targets." Logan waited. "He cried," Isabella continued, "in my office. Begged me to reconsider, said his wife just had surgery. They couldn't afford to lose his insurance. And I still fired him." "Why?" "Because he wasn't performing. Because the company needs—" She stopped. "Because that's what I do. That's who I am. The Ice Queen. The untouchable billionaire who doesn't care about people's sob stories. Do you believe that?" "I don't know what I believe anymore." Logan heard something in her voice. Doubt. Self-hatred. The sound of someone questioning everything. "Was he actually underperforming?" he asked. "Yes." "Did you give him warnings, chances to improve?" 3 written warnings, 6 months of support. "Did you offer severance, help with transition?" 6 months' pay. Letter of recommendation. Introduction to competitors. Then you didn't destroy him. You made a business decision and tried to soften it. His kids will be okay, because their father got 6 months to find something new. That's more than most people get. Logan kept his voice gentle. "You can't save everyone, Isabella. You can only do your job with as much humanity as possible." Sounds like you did that. Silence stretched. Then, "How do you do it?" "Do what?" "Make hard decisions and still sleep at night." Logan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I don't sleep much, and every decision feels like I'm balancing on a knife edge. Is this enough for Mia? Am I doing enough? Being enough?" He paused. "But I've learned something. Torturing yourself doesn't change the outcome. It just makes you less effective next time. So you just accept it?" "I accept that I'm human, that I'll make mistakes, That sometimes there's no good choice, just less bad ones. And I keep going anyway. That sounds exhausting. It is. Then why do it? Because the alternative is giving up, and I can't do that to Mia, can't do that to myself. He heard her breathing on the other end, imagined her somewhere in her Gold Coast apartment, probably expensive and empty and perfectly decorated. I'm tired, Logan. Her voice cracked slightly. I'm so tired of being strong, of being perfect, of never being allowed to just break. So break. What? Break, right now, on this phone call. I won't tell anyone. I won't think less of you. Just break. I don't know how. Yes, you do. You've been holding it together for so long. Let go. Just for a minute. Silence. Then he heard it. A soft sound, barely audible. Isabella Vaughn crying. She didn't sob, didn't wail, just quiet tears that she probably thought she was hiding. Logan didn't say anything, didn't try to fix it or stop it, just listened. I'm sorry, she finally whispered. Don't be. This is unprofessional. This is human. I don't cry. I never cry. You're crying now. I hate it. I know. She laughed through the tears. You're supposed to tell me it's okay, that crying is healthy, that I should embrace my emotions. You want me to lie? Maybe. Crying sucks. It's messy and your face gets puffy and you feel like shit after, but sometimes you need it anyway, like draining an infection. That's disgusting, but accurate. She laughed again, clear this time. You're very strange, Logan Pierce. So you've mentioned. Why aren't you uncomfortable right now? Most men would be terrified. I've had a 6-year-old cry on me about everything from skinned knees to her best friend moving away. Your tears aren't scary. They're just tears. I told my ex-husband I was crying once. He said it was manipulative. Oh, your ex-husband sounds like an asshole. He was. Is. She paused. I married him because he was safe, controllable. He fit the image I was supposed to have. CEO, with a handsome husband, perfect marriage, perfect life. How'd that work out? He cheated on me with his personal trainer. Very original. Jesus. I didn't love him. Not really. I think that's what hurt most. Not the betrayal, but the realization that I'd wasted 2 years on something that was never real. Logan thought about Rachel, about the morning she left, about how he'd loved her desperately, and it still hadn't been enough. At least you're honest about it, he said. Are you? Honest? About what? Your ex-wife. Do you still love her? The question landed like a punch. Logan leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. No, he said finally. I loved who I thought she was, but that person was never real either. She told me she was suffocating, that being a mother was killing her. And I realized I'd been so focused on building a life with her that I never asked if it was the life she wanted. That's not your fault, isn't it? I should have seen it, should have paid attention. You can't read minds, Logan. No. But I could have listened better, could have noticed she was drowning. And then what? She still would have left. Some people aren't built for the life they choose. Is that what you think about yourself? The question hung there. I don't know what I'm built for anymore, Isabella admitted. I thought it was this, the company, the success, the empire. But lately, she stopped. What? Lately, it feels empty, like I'm running a race that never ends, and even when I win, it doesn't mean anything. Logan knew that feeling, had felt it in the months after Rachel left, when he was going through the motions of life without actually living it. So change the race, he said. It's not that simple. Why not? Because I have responsibilities, employees, investors, expectations. Whose expectations? She didn't answer. Isabella, he said gently. Whose expectations are you living up to? Everyone's? No one's. My father's. Her voice went hard. He built his fortune in oil, old money, old rules. He thinks what I do is plain businesswoman. Says I'll give it up eventually, settle down, have children, become what I'm supposed to be. Which is what? Someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's daughter. Never just myself. Fuck that. She laughed, surprised. Did you just curse? Your father's an asshole like your ex-husband. You're collecting them. Apparently. Stop. Stop what? Collecting assholes. Caring what they think. Building your life around proving them wrong. It's still letting them control you. Silence. Then, that's easier said than done. Everything worth doing is... He heard her shift, maybe sitting down, maybe moving to a window. What are you doing right now? She asked. Sitting on my couch, talking to you, wondering why I'm getting relationship advice from a billionaire at 11 p.m. Wondering the same thing, except reverse. You asking for advice? Maybe. Is that allowed? I don't know the rules here. Me neither. She paused. Can I ask you something personal? You just told me about your ex-husband's affair and your father's disappointment. I think we're past personal. Do you ever regret it? Being a single father, giving up your freedom. Logan thought about that, about the life he could have had if Rachel had stayed, if Mia hadn't been born, if he'd made different choices. Every day, he said honestly, and never, both at once. That doesn't make sense, it's parenting. Nothing makes sense. You're exhausted and terrified and broke and covered in someone else's bodily fluids half the time. But then your kid looks at you like you hung the moon and suddenly it's worth it. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, everything. That sounds hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. But you'd do it again. In a heartbeat. Isabella was quiet for a moment. I don't think I could do it. Be that selfless. Put someone else first. You already do. Every employee, every decision, every late night at the office. You're just putting different people first. That's different. That's business. Is it? You said that director had 2 kids. You gave him 6 months severance because you were thinking about them. That's not business. That's caring. I can't afford to care too much. Why not? Because it makes it harder. Every decision becomes impossible. Every termination becomes torture. Welcome to being human. It's supposed to be hard. She laughed softly. I think I liked it better when things were simple. When was that? I don't know. Maybe never. They talked for another hour. About nothing and everything. About Mia's upcoming school play. About Isabella's board meeting next week. About whether deep dish pizza was actually pizza or just casserole with delusions. It felt normal, easy, like talking to a friend. At 12:47 a.m., Isabella finally said, I should let you sleep. Probably. Logan? Yeah? Thank you for this, for listening, for not treating me like I'm made of glass or ice or whatever everyone else thinks. You're welcome. Can we... She hesitated. Can we do this again? Talk, I mean. Not about work. Yeah, I'd like that. Good. Me too. She paused. Good night, Logan. Good night, Isabella. The call ended. Logan sat in the dark for a long time after, phone in his hand, wondering what the hell he was doing. This was his boss. His billionaire CEO boss. And he was having midnight phone calls with her about life and loneliness and pizza preferences. This was stupid, dangerous, crossing lines that shouldn't be crossed. But it also felt right. And Logan had learned to trust his instincts about people, even when those people were terrifying billionaires who cried on the phone at midnight, especially then. The calls became routine over the next 2 weeks. Not every night, but most nights. Around 10 p.m. after Mia was asleep, Logan's phone would buzz. Sometimes they talked for 20 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. They talked about everything except what they were actually doing, because naming it would make it real, would make it dangerous. And right now, it existed in this strange liminal space where nothing had to be defined or explained or justified. At work, they maintained perfect professional distance. Isabella was still the CEO who terrified everyone. Logan was still the analyst who kept his head down. They passed in hallways without acknowledgement, sat in the same meetings without making eye contact. But at night, in the safety of phone calls and darkness, they were just 2 people who understood what it meant to be lonely. Mia asked about you today, Logan said on a Tuesday night, voice low so he wouldn't wake his daughter. Me? Why? I mentioned I was working on a project with the CEO. She wanted to know if you were nice. Isabella laughed. What did you tell her? That you're complicated. A 6-year-old understands complicated? You'd be surprised what she understands. What else did she ask? Logan smiled in the dark. If you have kids, if you're married, if you like pancakes. Those are very important questions. To her, yeah, everything comes down to pancakes and whether people are nice. Simple worldview. Must be nice. Isabella was quiet for a moment. What did you tell her? About me? That you work very hard, that you're smart, that you have a lot of people depending on you. He paused. And that, yes, you like pancakes. You don't know if I like pancakes. Everyone likes pancakes. It's universal. I haven't had pancakes in probably 10 years. What? Why? Too many carbs. My nutritionist would have a stroke. Logan laughed. You have a nutritionist? Don't judge me. I'm judging you. When's the last time you ate something just because you wanted to? Silence. Then, I don't remember. That's depressing. That's my life. It doesn't have to be. Logan, I'm serious. When's the last time you did anything without calculating the optics or the consequences or what people would think? Is this going somewhere? Yeah, Saturday, noon, meet me. Meet you where? You'll see. Wear normal clothes. Jeans, a sweatshirt, something you'd never wear to a board meeting. This is insane. Probably. You coming anyway? He could hear her thinking, calculating, running through all the reasons this was a bad idea. Okay, she said finally. Okay? Don't make me repeat it. Logan smiled. Text me Saturday morning. I'll send you the address. This better not be weird. It's going to be very weird. Logan, trust me. Another pause. I do. That's what scares me. After they hung up, Logan lay awake wondering if he'd just made a massive mistake. This was crossing every professional boundary that existed. She was his boss, his billionaire boss, and he was asking her to meet him on a Saturday like they were friends, like they were something. But he kept thinking about what she'd said, about not remembering the last time she'd done something just because she wanted to, about how her entire life was performance and calculation and fear. He knew that feeling too well. And maybe that's why he couldn't let it go. Saturday morning arrived cold and clear. Mia had a play date at her friend Emma's house, giving Logan the day free. He texted Isabella at 10 a.m., Millennium Park. By the Bean, noon. Her response came immediately. The tourist trap? Trust me. Still not reassuring. At 11:47, Logan stood near the Cloud Gate sculpture, hands shoved in his jacket pockets, wondering if she'd actually show. Maybe she'd come to her senses. Realized this was stupid. Sent an assistant with a polite message about professional boundaries. Then he saw her. Isabella Vaughn in jeans and a navy blue sweatshirt, hair pulled back in a ponytail, no makeup. She looked younger, less intimidating, almost normal. Almost. She spotted him, walked over with that same confident stride that probably never went away no matter what she wore. I'm here, she said. This better be good. Logan smiled. Follow me. He led her through the park, past tourists taking selfies with the Bean, past families and street performers and food vendors. Isabella kept looking around like she'd never seen any of it before. When's the last time you were here? Logan asked. The park? I don't know. Years, maybe. You live in Chicago. I work in Chicago. There's a difference. They walked in comfortable silence until they reached the pavilion. Logan stopped at a food cart. 2 hot dogs, he told the vendor. Everything on them. I don't eat hot dogs, Isabella said. You do today. Logan, when's the last time you ate street food? She opened her mouth, closed it. Never. Then it's time. The vendor handed over 2 Chicago-style hot dogs, loaded with mustard, relish, onions, tomatoes, pickles, peppers, and celery salt. Isabella stared at hers like it might attack. This has like 1,000 calories. Probably more. My nutritionist isn't here, just try it. She took a tentative bite, chewed. Her eyes widened. Okay? It's good. She took another bite. Why is this good? Logan laughed. Because food tastes better when you're not calculating macros. They found a bench overlooking the lake. sat and ate their hot dogs in silence, watching waves roll in from Lake Michigan. The city stretched behind them, massive and indifferent and beautiful. I feel ridiculous, Isabella said finally. Why? I'm a billionaire eating a hot dog in a public park. If anyone sees me, they'll see a person eating lunch, that's all. You don't understand. Everything I do is scrutinized, analyzed, photographed. So let them photograph you being human. She looked at him. Is that what this is? A lesson in humanity? It's a hot dog, Isabella. Don't overthink it. She smiled despite herself, finished the hot dog, wiped her mouth with a napkin. Okay, what now? Now we walk. They spent the next 2 hours just walking through the city. Logan showed her places she'd probably passed 1,000 times, but never really seen. A bookstore tucked between 2 office buildings. A coffee shop run by an old Polish couple who'd been there 40 years. A park where musicians gathered on weekends to play jazz. Isabella was quiet mostly, taking it all in. Once she stopped in front of a mural painted on the side of a building, something abstract and colorful and alive. I've driven past this 100 times, she said softly. Never noticed it. You were probably busy. I'm always busy. She turned to look at him. Why are you doing this? Doing what? This. Showing me the city, forcing me to eat hot dogs, acting like we're friends. Aren't we? The question hung between them. I don't know what we are, Isabella admitted. I don't know what this is, and that terrifies me because I always know. I always have control. Maybe that's the problem. What? Control. Maybe you've had it so long you forgot what it's like to just let go. Let go in what? Fall apart? Let go and see what happens. She shook her head. Easy for you to say. Is it? You think I'm not terrified right now? I'm having an unsanctioned weekend hangout with my billionaire boss. I could lose my job, my reputation, everything I've built. Then why do it? Logan met her eyes. Because you matter. Because I hate seeing you trap yourself in a life you don't even want. Because... He stopped. Because what? Because you called me at midnight crying about firing someone, and I realized you're the loneliest person I've ever met. And I know what that feels like. And I thought maybe... He ran a hand through his hair. I thought maybe you deserved one day where you weren't the untouchable billionaire, where you were just Isabella. She stared at him. He couldn't read her expression, couldn't tell if he'd just made everything better or destroyed everything completely. Then she said, I can't remember the last time someone just used my first name. Not Ms. Vaughn, not ma'am, just Isabella. I can stop? No, don't. Her voice was quiet. I like it. I like... She gestured around them. This, all of this, it's terrifying and ridiculous and completely inappropriate, but I like it. So let's keep going. Where? He checked his watch. 2:34 p.m. Ice skating. What? Maggie Daly Park. They have a ribbon rink. When's the last time you ice skated? I've never ice skated. Perfect. 20 minutes later, they were lacing up rental skates. Isabella looked at hers with deep suspicion. These are a health hazard. They're fine. They smell like feet. All rental skates smell like feet. It's tradition. I hate this already. But she followed him onto the ice anyway, and immediately almost fell. Logan caught her elbow. Easy. This is impossible. People actually do this for fun? Yes, stop thinking. Just glide. I can't stop thinking. That's not how my brain works. Then learn. For the next hour, Logan taught Isabella Vaughn how to ice skate. She fell 3 times, cursed 5 times, threatened to leave 7 times. But she kept getting back up, and slowly, impossibly, she started to get it. By the time they left, she was actually smiling, real smiling. Not the polished corporate smile, but something genuine. I can't believe I just did that, she said, unlacing her skates. Believe it. I fell on my ass in front of children. Character building, she laughed. Is that what we're calling it? They returned the skates and walked back through the park. The sun was starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Chicago looked different in this light. Softer. Isabella stopped walking, turned to face him. Logan, I need to tell you something. His stomach tightened. Okay. I'm breaking every rule I have. Professional boundaries, personal safety, common sense, all of it. She took a breath. And I don't care. I should care, but I don't. Isabella said, I'm not finished. Her eyes locked on his. You scare me. This scares me. Because I've built my entire life around never needing anyone, around being completely self-sufficient, and then you show up and you're just, she gestured helplessly. You're kind and real, and you don't want anything from me except for me to eat a hot dog and fall down on ice, and I don't know what to do with that. Logan's heart was hammering. What do you want to do with it? I don't know, I've never… She stopped, started again. I've never had someone just see me. Not what I can do for them. Not what I represent, just me. And I don't know if I'm allowed to want that. You're allowed to want anything. Am I? Because it feels dangerous. Like if I let myself want this, want you, everything falls apart. The words hung in the cold air. Want you. Logan knew he should say something professional, something safe, something that put distance between them and protected them both. Instead, he said, maybe falling apart isn't the worst thing. It is for me. I'm holding together an empire. Thousands of people depend on me. If I fall apart, you're already falling apart. You're just doing it in private, on phone calls at midnight, in parked cars after firing people. He stepped closer. Maybe it's time to fall apart with someone who won't use it against you. And that's you? I don't know, but I'm offering. She stared at him. The sunset lit her face, caught in her eyes, made her look almost unreal. I can't promise anything, she said quietly. I can't promise this works. I can't promise I won't hurt you or that this doesn't blow up in both our faces. I'm not asking for promises. Then what are you asking for? Permission. To see where this goes. To stop pretending we're just boss and employee when we both know it's more than that. It's unprofessional. Probably. It could destroy everything. Maybe. People will talk. The board, the press, everyone. Let them. Isabella laughed, but there was no humor in it. You say that like it's simple. It's not simple, it's terrifying. But so is living your whole life afraid of what people think. I'm not afraid. Aren't you? You won't eat pancakes because of your nutritionist. Won't go to parks because someone might photograph you. Won't let yourself feel anything real because it might crack your armor. He met her gaze. That sounds like fear to me. Her jaw tightened. You don't understand the pressure. What it's like to have everyone watching, judging, waiting for you to fail. You're right. I don't understand billionaire problems, but I understand being afraid. I understand building walls to protect yourself. And I understand that at some point, those walls become a prison. She looked away, out at the city skyline. What if I don't know how to tear them down? Then we figure it out together. We. If you want. The silence stretched. A group of teenagers ran past, laughing. Somewhere, a street musician played guitar. The world kept moving around them, indifferent to whatever was breaking and building between them. Finally, Isabella turned back to him. Okay. Okay? Let's see where this goes, but Logan, her voice went firm. If this gets complicated, if it affects the company or puts you in a bad position, we deal with it then. I'm serious. I won't let you sacrifice your career for me. That's my decision to make. Is it? Because I'm still your boss. I still have all the power here. Logan smiled. You think you have the power? Don't I? Isabella, you just spent 2 hours learning to ice skate because I asked you to. You ate a hot dog in a public park. You're standing here telling me you're scared. That's not power. That's trust. She blinked. That's terrifying. Welcome to the club. What club? People who are terrified but doing it anyway. Isabella smiled then, really smiled. Is that what we are? I think so. Okay. She took a breath. Okay. Let's be terrified together. They started walking again, no particular destination, just moving through the city as evening settled in. For a while, neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. Then Isabella's phone buzzed. She checked it, frowned. Work? My father wants to know when I'm coming to his charity gala next month. She shoved the phone back in her pocket. I hate those things. 3 hours of people trying to impress him while he reminds me I'm wasting my potential. Don't go. I have to go. He's my father. So what? If he makes you miserable, don't go. It's not that simple. Why not? She stopped walking. Because he's the reason I built all this. The company, the empire, everything. I was trying to prove I could do it, that I wasn't just his disappointing daughter who chose the wrong path. Did it work? No. He still thinks I should marry someone appropriate and have children and stop playing businesswoman. Her voice went bitter. 10 years. $1 billion. 30,000 employees. And I'm still playing. Logan thought about that. About spending your whole life chasing approval that would never come. So stop chasing it. Just like that? Just like that. Build something because you want to, not because you're trying to prove something to a man who'll never be impressed. Easy to say. Hard to do, but worth it. He met her eyes. You told me you don't know what you're built for anymore. Maybe that's because you've been building someone else's dream. Isabella was quiet for a long moment. Then, what if I don't know what my dream is? Then you figure it out, try things, fail, try again. That's what everyone else does. Everyone else doesn't have $1 billion company to run. Everyone else doesn't have your resources. You could do anything, Isabella, literally anything, and you're choosing to torture yourself trying to impress a man who doesn't deserve it. She looked at him. You're very blunt. You asked me to be. Did I? That first phone call, you said you needed someone who wouldn't judge you, someone who'd just be honest. I didn't expect it to hurt this much. Truth usually does. They reached the park exit. The L station was a block away. The real world waited, with all its complications and consequences. Isabella checked her watch. I should go. I have a conference call at 8. On a Saturday? Tokyo time zone. Right, because billionaires don't get weekends. Apparently not. She hesitated. Thank you for today, for the hot dog and the ice skating and the brutal honesty. Any time. I mean it. She searched for words. This was the first time in years I felt like myself, whatever that means. It means you're more than what you've built, more than your father's expectations or your company's demands. Logan smiled. It means Isabella Vaughn is pretty great at ice skating for a first-timer. She laughed. I fell 3 times. But you got back up. Because you told me to. No, because you wanted to. The moment stretched. Logan could see her thinking, processing, fighting with herself about what came next. Then she stepped closer and hugged him. It was awkward at first, stiff, like she'd forgotten how. But then she relaxed, and for just a moment, she wasn't the untouchable billionaire. She was just someone who needed a hug. When she pulled back, her eyes were bright. I'll call you tonight, after the conference call. I'll answer. I know. She started to walk away, then turned back. Logan? What you said about falling apart with someone who won't use it against you? Yeah? I think I'd like that. If the offer's still open. It's open. Good, because She stopped. I'm tired of doing this alone. I know. Me too. She smiled, small, genuine, fragile. Then she was gone, disappearing into the Saturday evening crowd, back to her conference calls and her empire and her complicated life. Logan stood there for a moment, watching her go, wondering what the hell he'd just started. His phone buzzed, text from Emma's mom. Mia's having a blast. She can stay for dinner if you want. Logan typed back, that would be great. Thank you. He had 3 hours before he needed to pick up his daughter. 3 hours to process whatever had just happened, whatever had just changed, because something had changed. He could feel it, like standing on the edge of something high, looking down, knowing the fall would either destroy you or set you free, and choosing to jump anyway. The call came at 9:47 p.m., right after Mia finally fell asleep following 3 bedtime stories and 2 glasses of water. How was Tokyo? Logan asked, settling onto the couch. Exhausting. They want to expand into Southeast Asia. I said no. They pushed. I pushed back harder. Isabella's voice sounded tired. Sometimes I wonder if I'm actually running a company or just arguing with people who think they know better. Maybe both. Helpful. You want helpful or honest? With you? Always honest. Logan smiled in the dark. Then honestly, you sound exhausted. When's the last time you slept a full night? Silence. Then, I don't remember. Isabella, don't. I know what you're going to say. That I need to take care of myself. That I'm burning out. That this isn't sustainable. Her voice went sharp. I've heard it all before. From who? Therapists, doctors, my ex-husband right before he cheated. She laughed bitterly. Apparently caring about your work more than your marriage is a red flag. Is that what happened? I don't know. Maybe. He said I was married to the company, not him. That I came home at midnight and left before he woke up. That we hadn't had a real conversation in months. She paused. He wasn't wrong. But he still cheated. Yeah. With someone who had time for him, who made him feel important. Another pause. I found out from Instagram. She posted a photo of them at some resort. Tagged him. Didn't even try to hide it. Logan's jaw tightened. That's brutal. That's honesty. At least she was honest about wanting him. I was just absent. You were working. I was hiding. There's a difference. Her voice got quieter. I think I knew the marriage was failing, but it was easier to work 80-hour weeks than face it. Easier to build something I could control than fight for something I couldn't. You think you could have saved it? No. But I could have ended it with dignity instead of finding out via social media that my husband was fucking someone named Amber who teaches spin classes. Logan winced. Amber the spin instructor. That's rough. Right? Like if you're going to cheat, at least make it someone interesting. A diplomat. A neurosurgeon. Not someone whose bio says live, laugh, spin. He laughed despite himself. You're a snob. I'm a realist. And realistically, my marriage was doomed from the start. I married someone safe, someone who fit the image, and he married someone he thought would support his lifestyle. We were both using each other. That's cynical. That's the truth. She sighed. You know what the worst part was? When I filed for divorce, I felt relieved, not sad, not angry, just relieved that I didn't have to pretend anymore. Logan thought about Rachel, about the morning she left. About how he'd felt gutted and terrified and completely lost. I was destroyed when Rachel left, he said quietly. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Thought my entire world was ending. How long did that last? Months, maybe a year. I don't know. It all kind of blurred together. He paused. Mia's what saved me. Having to get up every morning for her, having to function, having to be a parent even when I felt like I was drowning. Do you still love her? The question was direct, uncomfortable. No, Logan said, but I don't hate her either. She wasn't evil, she was just honest about not being able to do it. I think part of me respects that. Even though she left your daughter? Especially because of that. She could have stayed and been miserable, made all of us miserable. Instead, she chose herself. He ran a hand through his hair. It hurt, it still hurts sometimes. But I'd rather Mia grow up with one present parent than two resentful ones. That's very mature. That's therapy. Lots and lots of therapy. Isabella laughed. You're in therapy? Was. For about a year after Rachel left. Couldn't afford it anymore, but it helped. What did you learn? That I can't control other people. That love isn't enough if the other person doesn't want to be there. That sometimes the best thing you can do is let go. He paused. And that asking for help isn't weakness. I've never been to therapy. Why not? Because therapists talk. Someone would find out. It would get leaked. Suddenly I'm the unstable CEO who can't handle the pressure. Or you're the smart CEO who takes care of her mental health. You live in a different world than I do. Maybe. Or maybe you're just afraid of what you'd have to face in that room. Silence stretched. Logan wondered if he'd pushed too far. Then Isabella said, You're right. About? Being afraid. I'm terrified of what I'd say to a therapist. What I'd have to admit. Her voice cracked slightly. That I'm lonely. That I hate most of my life. That I built an empire I don't even want anymore. That I'm 30 years old and I have no idea who I actually am underneath all this. So find out. How? Start small, like today. Hot dogs, ice skating, things that have nothing to do with business or expectations or being Isabella Vaughn, billionaire CEO. And then what? Then you keep going, keep trying new things, keep figuring out what makes you happy instead of what makes you successful. What if they're not the same thing? Then you have a choice to make. She was quiet for a long moment. I don't think I'm brave enough for that. You fell 3 times on ice skates today and got back up every time. That's brave. That's stubborn. Same thing. Isabella laughed, and Logan could hear the exhaustion in it, the weight of carrying everything alone for so long. Tell me about Mia, she said suddenly. What was bedtime like tonight? The subject change was obvious, but Logan let it happen. 3 stories, 2 glasses of water, 1 lengthy negotiation about whether penguins could be ballerinas. Can they? According to Mia, yes. According to biology, probably not. We settled on penguins can be anything they want in their imagination. Diplomatic. Exhausting. She's 6 and already better at arguing than most lawyers. She gets that from you. She gets that from being 6. Everything's a negotiation at this age. What were the stories about? Logan smiled. One about a bear who learns to share, one about a princess who saves herself, and one about a boy who builds a rocket to the moon. Does he make it to the moon? Yeah. Finds out it's made of cheese, brings some home for his mom. That's sweet. That's picture books. Everything works out. Nobody gets divorced or laid off or has to choose between their dreams and reality. Sounds nice. It is. For 30 pages. He paused. Sometimes I wish the real world worked like that, where problems got solved in 30 pages and everyone learned a lesson and went home happy. But it doesn't. No, it doesn't. They sat with that truth for a moment. Then Isabella said, "Can I ask you something personal? Haven't we crossed that bridge already? This is different. This is about us." Logan's pulse quickened. Okay. What are we doing? Actually doing, not the philosophical version. The real version. He thought about it. About the phone calls and the Saturday in the park, and the way his heart jumped every time her name appeared on his screen. I don't know, he said honestly, but I know I look forward to talking to you. I know you're the first person I want to tell when something happens. And I know that scares the hell out of me because you're my boss. And this is probably the worst idea I've ever had. But you're doing it anyway. Yeah. Why? Because you matter. Because I haven't felt this alive in 3 years. Because... He stopped. Because what? Because I think you're incredible. Not the billionaire part. Not the empire or the success or any of that. Just you. The person who cries on the phone at midnight, who falls on ice skates and gets back up, who eats hot dogs in parks and admits she's lonely. He took a breath. That person is worth the risk. Silence. Then, no one's ever said that to me before. That you're worth the risk? That I'm incredible without all the other stuff, without the money or the power or the image. Her voice was barely audible. My ex-husband married me for what I could do for his career. My father tolerates me because I'm useful. Everyone wants something, but you, I just want to know you. Why? Because underneath all the armor, I think you're the most interesting person I've ever met. And I want to see what happens when you stop performing and just exist. She made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. You're making this very hard. Making what hard? Keeping my walls up, maintaining distance, pretending this is just friendly phone calls between colleagues. Who says you have to pretend? Logan, I'm your boss. This is complicated. I know. You've said that. And it doesn't bother you? It terrifies me, but so does not trying. So does wondering what could have been. He paused. I spent 3 years playing it safe after Rachel left. Being the perfect single dad, following all the rules. And you know what I learned? Safe is lonely. Safe is empty. Safe is waking up one day and realizing you haven't actually lived in years. So you're choosing chaos? I'm choosing possibility. There's a difference. Isabella was quiet for so long Logan thought she'd hung up. Then, I have to go to my father's gala 3 weeks from now. I have to wear a designer dress and smile and let people tell me how impressive my little business is. I have to listen to my father introduce me as his daughter, who's still figuring things out. And I have to do it alone because showing up with someone would create questions I can't answer. Okay, That's it? Okay. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Maybe ask why I'm telling you this. Logan smiled. Why are you telling me this, Isabella? Because I don't want to go alone. Because the idea of standing in that ballroom pretending to be fine makes me want to scream. Because, she stopped. Because I want you there. And I know that's impossible. And I know asking is unfair, but I'm asking anyway. His heart hammered. You want me to go to your father's gala? Yes? No, I don't know. She sounded frustrated. I want someone there who sees me, who knows this is all performance, who I can look at across the room and remember I'm not alone in this. Then I'll go. Logan, I'll go. As a colleague, as a friend, as whatever you need me to be. This is insane. Probably. People will ask questions. Let them. My father will interrogate you. I can handle it. You don't know what you're agreeing to. I know exactly what I'm agreeing to. I'm agreeing to stand in a room full of people who don't see you and make sure you know at least one person does. Silence. Then, so quietly, he almost missed it. Thank you. You're welcome. Logan? Yeah? I'm falling for you. I don't know how it happened or when it started, but it's happening, and it terrifies me. And I needed you to know. The words hung in the air. No taking them back now. Logan's entire body felt electrified. I'm falling for you too. This is a terrible idea. The worst. We could both lose everything. I know. And you're okay with that? He thought about Mia, about his job, about the life he'd carefully built over 3 years of single parenthood and playing by the rules. Then he thought about Isabella's voice when she admitted she was lonely, about her smile when she fell on the ice, about the way she said his name like it meant something. I'm okay with trying, he said. The rest we'll figure out. You have too much faith in this. One of us has to. She laughed, and it sounded lighter, less burdened. What did I do to deserve you? Ate a hot dog without complaining. I complained a lot, but you ate it anyway. Is that your bar? Hot dog consumption? It's a very high bar. They talked for another hour about nothing important, about whether winter or summer was better, about movies they'd seen and books they'd read, and whether breakfast food was acceptable for dinner. It was easy, natural, like they'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. When they finally hung up at midnight, Logan sat in the dark, staring at his phone, trying to process what had just happened. She was falling for him. Isabella Vaughn was falling for him. And he was falling right back. This was dangerous, reckless, could destroy both their lives. But for the first time since Rachel left, Logan felt alive. Actually, truly alive. And that was worth the risk. The next 3 weeks passed in a strange blur. At work, Logan and Isabella maintained perfect professional distance. In meetings, she was all business. In hallways, she barely acknowledged him. Anyone watching would see exactly what they were supposed to see. CEO and employee, nothing more. But at night, the calls continued. Sometimes short, sometimes hours long. They talked about everything and nothing. Isabella told him about board meetings that made her want to scream. Logan told her about Mia's school play rehearsals and the time she convinced her entire class that her dad was secretly a superhero. Are you? Isabella asked. Secretly a superhero? Only on Tuesdays. What's your superpower? Making pancakes and parallel parking, very marketable skills. She laughed. I can't parallel park. Seriously? I have a driver. Of course you do. Don't judge me. I'm absolutely judging you. These conversations felt stolen, precious, like they were building something fragile and beautiful in the spaces between their real lives. But reality was coming fast. The gala was Saturday. Logan had rented a tux that cost more than his monthly grocery budget. Mia was staying with Emma's family for the night. Everything was arranged. Everything except his nerves. You're fidgeting, Mia said on Friday morning over breakfast. I'm not fidgeting. You're tapping your foot. That's fidgeting. 6 years old and too observant, Logan stilled his foot, just thinking about work stuff. Is it about the important lady? He looked up. What important lady? The one you talk to at night. I hear you sometimes. You use your happy voice. Logan's stomach dropped. Mia, it's okay, Dad. I like when you're happy. She took a bite of cereal. Is she nice? Yeah, she's nice. Does she like pancakes? I think so. Then she's probably good. Mia said it like it was settled, like pancake preference was the ultimate character test. Maybe it was. I have to go to a fancy party tomorrow night, Logan said carefully. For work. You're going to stay with Emma's family. Overnight? Yeah. Cool. Emma has a trampoline. She looked at him seriously. Are you going to the party with the important lady? She'll be there, but I'm going for work. Mia nodded like she understood. You should wear your blue tie. It makes you look fancy. I'll wear my blue tie. And Dad? Yeah? It's okay if you like her, the important lady. I won't be mad. Logan's throat tightened. Thanks, baby. Is she going to be my new mom? The question came out innocent, curious, but it hit like a freight train. No, it's not like that. But you like her. It's complicated. That's what you always say when you don't want to explain. She had him there. Logan set down his coffee. The important lady is my boss. We're friends, that's all. Do friends make you use your happy voice? Sometimes. Okay. Mia finished her cereal. I'm glad you have a friend. You seemed lonely before. Before Logan could respond, she was up and running to get her backpack, leaving him sitting at the table wondering when his daughter had become so perceptive, and wondering what the hell he was doing. Saturday arrived cold and clear. Logan dropped Mia at Emma's house at 4, then went home to get ready. The tux felt foreign on his body, like he was playing dress-up, pretending to be someone who belonged at Billionaire galas. His phone buzzed at 6:15. Car's picking you up at 6:30. Don't be late. And Logan? Yeah? Thank you for this, for being there. It means more than you know. He stared at the message, typed, wouldn't miss it. The car arrived exactly on time, black sedan, professional driver, who didn't make conversation. They drove through Chicago as evening settled, heading toward the Ritz-Carlton. Logan's hands were sweating. This was stupid. He was walking into Isabella's world, her father's world, a place where he absolutely did not belong. But he'd promised. The ballroom was exactly what he expected. Crystal chandeliers, designer dresses, people who looked like they'd been born wearing tuxedos. Logan felt immediately out of place. Then he saw her. Isabella stood near the bar wearing a black gown that probably cost more than his car. Her hair was up, makeup perfect, armor fully in place. She was talking to an older couple, smiling that polished smile that never reached her eyes. She looked miserable. Their eyes met across the room. Something flickered in her expression. Relief, maybe, or recognition. She excused herself from the conversation and walked over, every inch the powerful CEO. Mr. Pierce, thank you for coming. Ms. Vaughn, he kept his voice professional. Beautiful event. My father spares no expense. She handed him a champagne flute from a passing waiter. Come, I'll introduce you. She led him through the crowd, making introductions. Logan shook hands with senators and CEOs and people whose net worth probably had 8 digits. Everyone was polite, distant, sizing him up. Then they reached her father. Richard Vaughn was exactly what Logan expected. Mid-60s, expensive suit, the kind of confidence that came from generations of wealth and power. He looked at Logan the way you'd look at an interesting bug. Father, this is Logan Pierce. He works in our analytics department. Analytics. Richard's handshake was firm, testing. And you're here because? I invited him, Isabella said smoothly. He's working on the Southeast Asia expansion analysis. I see. Richard's eyes never left Logan. Tell me, Mr. Pierce, what makes you think my daughter's company should expand into Southeast Asia? It was a test. Logan knew it. Everyone watching knew it. I don't think anything yet, sir. I'm still gathering data. But preliminary analysis suggests strong market potential in Vietnam and Thailand if we position correctly. If we position correctly, careful words. Honest words. I'd rather be honest than certain. Richard's eyebrow raised. Most people try to impress me with confidence. Most people aren't being honest. Something might have been approval flickered in Richard's expression. Or maybe annoyance. Hard to tell. Isabella, he said, turning to his daughter. This one's different from your usual crowd. Yes, Isabella said. He is. Richard studied Logan for another moment. Then, don't waste her time, Mr. Pierce. My daughter has enough people doing that already. Then he walked away, leaving Logan standing there wondering what the hell had just happened. That went well, Isabella murmured. Did it? He didn't eviscerate you. That's his version of approval. She took his arm, guiding him toward a quieter corner. Come on, I need air. They slipped out onto a balcony overlooking the city. The November wind bit through Logan's tux, but Isabella didn't seem to notice. I hate these things, she said quietly. Then why come? Because he's my father. Because saying no would create problems. Because... She stopped. Because I'm a coward. You're not a coward. Aren't I? I can't even stand up to my own father. Can't tell him I hate these events. Can't tell him his opinion stopped mattering years ago. Logan moved closer. You're here. That's something. Is it? Or am I just performing again? Maybe both. She looked at him. Really looked at him. I'm so tired of performing. Then stop. How? Start with me, right now. No performing. Just tell me what you're actually feeling. Isabella's hands gripped the balcony railing. I'm feeling like I want to leave. Go somewhere quiet. Somewhere I don't have to be Isabella Vaughn, billionaire CEO, disappointing daughter. Somewhere I can just be... She stopped. What? Myself, whatever that means. She turned to face him fully. I'm feeling like bringing you here was the smartest and stupidest thing I've ever done. Because now I know what it's like to have someone in this room who actually sees me, and I don't know how I'm supposed to go back to doing this alone. Logan's heart hammered. They were on a balcony at her father's gala, surrounded by people who could end both their careers, and she was looking at him like he was the only person in the world. You don't have to go back to doing it alone, he said quietly. Don't I? This is my life, Logan. This world. These people. You don't belong here. Neither do you. She laughed, sharp and bitter. You're right, I don't. But I'm trapped anyway. No, you're not. Yes, I am. By expectations, by responsibilities, by fear. She stared at him. What? You're trapped by fear. Fear of disappointing people. Fear of failing. Fear of choosing yourself. He stepped closer. But you're not trapped. You're choosing this. Every day. You're choosing to be miserable because it's easier than being brave. Her eyes flashed. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You'd rather suffer in a life you hate than risk building a life you want. Because wanting things is dangerous. Because admitting you're unhappy means admitting your father was right, that all this wasn't worth it. Stop. Why? Because it's true? Because it hurts. Her voice cracked. Because you're right, and I hate it. They stood there in the cold, the city lights spread below them, the party continuing inside without them. Then Isabella said, Take me home. What? Not my home. Yours. I want to see where you live, where you actually exist. She met his eyes. I want to see real life. Not this. Isabella, please. I can't be here anymore. I can't pretend anymore. Just... She grabbed his hand. Take me somewhere real. Logan looked at their joined hands, thought about all the reasons this was insane, thought about Mia and his job and the 100 ways this could explode. Then he thought about Isabella's voice when she said, I can't pretend anymore. Okay, he said, let's go. They slipped out through a service exit, leaving the gala behind. Isabella texted her driver to meet them 2 blocks away. They walked through downtown Chicago, her in an evening gown, him in a tux, both completely out of place and not caring. When the car arrived, Logan gave his address. Isabella looked at him. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. She smiled, real and genuine and beautiful, and Logan knew with absolute certainty that his life was never going to be the same. The apartment looked smaller with Isabella in it. Logan unlocked the door and suddenly saw everything through her eyes. The worn couch he'd bought secondhand, the crayon drawings taped to the refrigerator. Mia's toys scattered across the living room floor despite his attempt to clean before leaving. "Sorry about the mess," he said, flipping on lights. "I wasn't exactly expecting company." Isabella stood in the doorway, still in her evening gown, looking completely out of place and somehow perfectly right at the same time. "It's perfect," she said quietly. "It's a mess. No. It's lived in. It's real." She walked inside, running her hand along the back of the couch. "My apartment doesn't look like this. It looks like a magazine spread. Everything perfectly placed, nothing out of order." She picked up one of Mia's stuffed animals from the floor. "Nothing that matters." Logan watched her, this billionaire CEO in a designer gown holding his daughter's worn elephant, and felt something shift in his chest. "You want something to drink?" he asked. "I have wine, or water, or juice boxes." She smiled. "Wine sounds good." He poured 2 glasses of red wine that cost $12 and probably tasted like it. Isabella sat on the couch, kicking off her heels, and Logan sat beside her, careful to leave space between them. "Tell me about her," Isabella said, gesturing to a photo on the wall. Mia, at age 4, missing her front teeth, grinning at the camera. That's her gap tooth phase. She was so proud of losing those teeth. Carried them around in her pocket for a week before I convinced her the tooth fairy needed them. What did the tooth fairy bring? $2 and a note saying she was very brave. Isabella smiled. "You wrote the note." "Of course I wrote the note. I'm the tooth fairy, the Easter bunny, and Santa. It's exhausting. But you do it anyway." "What else am I going to do? Tell her magic isn't real?" He shook his head. "She'll figure that out soon enough. For now, let her believe the world is good." "You're a better parent than mine ever were." "I doubt that." "No, really. My father gave me everything except his time. My mother died when I was 8, and after that it was nannies and boarding schools and learning that love was transactional." She took a sip of wine. "You give Mia your time, your attention. That's worth more than anything money can buy." Logan looked at her, really looked at her. "Is that why you work so hard? Because you're trying to prove you're worth your father's time?" Isabella's jaw tightened. "Maybe. Probably. I don't know anymore." She set down her wine. "I spent my whole life trying to make him proud, built a billion-dollar company, proved I could compete in his world. And you know what he said tonight, after you left? He said I looked tired, that I should consider settling down soon before it's too late." "Too late for what?" "Children, marriage, a real life." Her voice went bitter. "Like everything I've built is just a phase, like I'm playing dress-up in the business world." "He's wrong." "Is he?" "Because standing in my own apartment, I don't recognize anything. It's all just stuff. Expensive stuff that some interior designer picked out because it looks good, but none of it's mine, none of it means anything." She turned to face him. "But this place? Your apartment with the crayon drawings and the toys on the floor? This is a home, this is a life, and I realized tonight that I don't have that. I have success, I have money, I have power, but I don't have a life." Logan didn't know what to say to that, didn't know how to fix something that big. So instead he said, "You want to see something?" "What?" He stood, walked to the kitchen, started pulling out ingredients. Isabella followed. "What are you doing?" "Making pancakes. It's almost midnight. Breakfast food is acceptable at any hour. I told you that." He cracked eggs into a bowl. "You said you haven't had pancakes in 10 years. That's a crime. We're fixing it right now." "Logan, no arguments. Sit." She sat at the small kitchen table, still in her evening gown, watching him mix batter. It was absurd and domestic and completely surreal. "I can't believe I'm doing this," she said. "Doing what?" "Sitting in your kitchen at midnight, in a $5,000 dress, watching you make pancakes." "Is the dress really $5,000? "Try 8, Logan whistled. "That's almost 2 months' rent. That's obscene. That's your life." "Not anymore." She said it quietly, but with certainty. "I'm done with that life." He turned from the stove. "What does that mean?" "I don't know yet. But tonight, standing on that balcony, watching you walk away from my father's world like it didn't matter, I realized you were right. I'm not trapped. I'm choosing this. Every day I'm choosing to be miserable. And I'm done choosing wrong. Isabella, I'm going to sell the company. The words hung in the air. Logan stared at her. What? I'm selling, or restructuring, or stepping down. I don't know the details yet, but I'm done building something I hate. Done proving myself to people who will never be satisfied. Done living a life that's killing me. That's a massive decision. I know. You should think about it, sleep on it, not decide at midnight in my kitchen. I've been thinking about it for months, maybe years. I just didn't have the courage to admit it. She met his eyes. Until you. Logan's heart hammered. Don't do this for me. I'm not. I'm doing it for myself. You just helped me see that I could. He finished the pancakes in silence, plated them, set them in front of her with syrup and butter. Isabella looked at them like they were a test. Eat, Logan said, sitting across from her. Before they get cold. She cut a piece, took a bite, closed her eyes. Oh my God. Good? I forgot food could taste like this. Real food. Not calculated, not optimized, just good. They ate in comfortable silence. Isabella finished her entire stack, something Logan suspected she never did with meals. When they were done, she helped him clean up. The billionaire CEO washing dishes in his sink, still wearing an $8,000 dress, and somehow it felt completely natural. I should go, she said finally, but she didn't move. You don't have to. I want to stay. That's the problem. Logan dried his hands, turned to face her. Why is that a problem? Because if I stay, everything changes. We can't go back from this. We can't pretend it's just phone calls and friendship and professional boundaries. Maybe we're already past that point. Are we? Isabella, you just told me you're selling your company. You're standing in my kitchen at 1 a.m. eating pancakes. You asked me to take you home because you couldn't stand being in your own world anymore. He stepped closer. I think we're way past professional boundaries. She looked up at him. I'm scared. Of what? Of this. Of wanting something. Of choosing something that makes me happy instead of something that makes me successful. Of being with someone who sees all of me, not just the polished version. She took a shaky breath. Of falling in love with you and having it destroy us both. Logan's breath caught. You're falling in love with me? I told you that already. On the phone. I thought maybe you didn't mean it. I meant it. I mean it. Her eyes glistened. And it terrifies me because I don't know how to do this. How to be with someone who actually cares, who doesn't want something from me except just me. Then we figure it out together. What if I'm terrible at it? Then you're terrible at it. And I'll be terrible at it too. And we'll be terrible together. She laughed through tears that hadn't fallen yet. That's the worst pep talk I've ever heard. I'm not good at this either, Isabella. I've been a single father for 3 years. I've forgotten how to date, how to be with someone, how to let someone in. I'm terrified too. So what do we do? Logan reached up, gently wiped away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. We try anyway. We be scared together. We make mistakes and apologize and keep going. We build something real instead of something perfect. I don't know if I can. Yes, you do. You already are. Isabella closed her eyes, leaning into his touch. What about Mia? What about your job? What about we deal with it? One thing at a time. But right now, in this moment, it's just you and me and a decision. He met her gaze. Do you want this? Actually want this? Not the idea of it. Not the escape from your life, but this. Us. She didn't answer with words. Instead, she kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative, like she was testing whether this was real. Then deeper, more certain, her hands coming up to his face, his arms wrapping around her waist. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Isabella rested her forehead against his. Yes, she whispered. I want this. I want us, even though it's terrifying and complicated and probably going to be a disaster. Probably. You're supposed to disagree. I'm supposed to be honest. He smiled. It's going to be hard.
People will talk. Your father will hate it.
The board will have opinions. My life is messy and complicated and involves a 6-year-old with strong opinions about everything. I know. And I still can't really believe Isabella Vaughn is standing in my kitchen kissing me. Believe it, she kissed him again, because I'm not going anywhere. They moved to the couch, sat tangled together, talking until the sky started to lighten. About what came next. About how to handle work. About when to tell Mia. About everything and nothing. At some point, Isabella fell asleep against his shoulder, her breathing even and peaceful. Logan stayed awake, watching her, this powerful woman who'd let herself be vulnerable with him. His phone buzzed at 6:47 a.m. Text from Emma's mom. Mia's up, whenever you're ready to get her. Logan carefully extracted himself from Isabella, who stirred but didn't wake. He covered her with a blanket, left a note on the coffee table. Had to get Mia. Coffee's in the kitchen. Help yourself. Don't leave. Then he grabbed his keys and headed out. The drive to Emma's house gave him time to think, to process, to realize that his life had fundamentally changed in the span of 12 hours. Isabella Vaughn was asleep on his couch. They'd kissed. She'd said she was falling in love with him, and he hadn't run, hadn't panicked, hadn't protected himself. He'd chosen possibility over safety. Mia was bouncing with energy when he arrived, talking nonstop about the trampoline and the movies they'd watched, and how Emma's mom made the best waffles. Did you have fun at the fancy party? She asked in the car. I did. Was the important lady there? Logan gripped the steering wheel. Yeah, she was there. Is she nice? She's very nice. Good. Mia went back to looking out the window. I'm glad you have a friend, Dad. You seem happier. When they got home, Logan's heart jumped. Isabella's car was still outside. He took a breath. Mia, I need to tell you something. Okay. I have a friend visiting, a grown-up friend. And she's inside right now. Mia's eyes widened. The important lady? Yeah. She's in our house. She is, and I need you to be on your best behavior, okay? No interrogations about pancakes or whether she's going to be your new mom. I wouldn't do that. Mia. Okay, fine. I won't ask if she's going to be your girlfriend. Logan sighed. Thank you. They walked inside. Isabella was awake, sitting on the couch, hair slightly mussed, still wearing last night's gown. She looked up when they entered, and Logan saw the exact moment she registered Mia. Fear flickered across her face, then something else. Determination, maybe. Hi, Isabella said softly. Mia stared at her, at the fancy dress, at the woman sitting on their couch like she belonged there. You're very pretty, Mia said finally. Isabella smiled. Thank you. You must be Mia. How do you know my name? Your dad talks about you a lot. He talks about you too. He uses his happy voice. Logan wanted to disappear. Mia, it's okay. Isabella looked at him, then back at Mia. I use my happy voice when I talk about your dad too. Mia considered this. Do you like pancakes? I do. I had some last night. Dad makes the best pancakes. He really does. And do you know that penguins mate for life? I did not know that. That's very interesting. Mia nodded, apparently satisfied. Okay, you can stay. Mia! Logan was mortified, but Isabella laughed, really laughed. Thank you. I appreciate the permission. You're welcome. I'm going to play in my room now. Mia headed toward her bedroom, then turned back. Are you going to be here when I come back? Isabella looked at Logan, then at Mia. If it's okay with your dad, yes. It's okay with me. Dad needs friends. Then she disappeared into her room. Logan and Isabella sat in silence for a moment. Well, Logan said finally, that happened. She's wonderful. She's a handful. She's honest. I like that. She asked if you were going to be her new mom. I heard. I'm sorry. Don't be. Isabella stood, walked over to him. Kids ask the questions adults are too afraid to. It's refreshing. Is it? Yeah. She took his hand. Logan, I meant what I said last night. About wanting this. About being terrified but doing it anyway. That includes Mia. That includes your life. All of it. You don't know what you're signing up for. Neither do you, but we're doing it anyway. He pulled her close, kissed her forehead. What happens Monday? At work? I'm calling an emergency board meeting, announcing my intention to restructure, probably stepping down as CEO. That's massive. It's overdue. She looked up at him. And I'm going to tell them about us, about this, because I'm done hiding, done performing. If they have a problem with it, I'll leave entirely. Isabella, Theo, I'm serious. I've spent 10 years building something I don't even want. It's time to build something I do want, even if it scares me, especially if it scares me. Logan thought about that, about courage, about choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. Okay, he said. We do this together, whatever comes. Together? They spent the rest of the weekend in Logan's small apartment. Isabella borrowed his clothes, played games with Mia, learned that 6-year-olds have no filter and infinite energy. She was awkward at first, unsure how to interact with a child, but Mia was patient in the way only kids can be. You have to let the glue dry before you touch it, Mia explained while they made crafts at the kitchen table. Or it gets messy. Right, okay, patience. Isabella glanced at Logan. I'm not good at patience. You're doing fine. I'm getting glue everywhere. That's normal. Is it? Mia patted Isabella's hand. It's okay. Dad's messy too. That's why we have paper towels. By Sunday night, something had shifted. Isabella fit into their small life in a way Logan hadn't expected. She helped make dinner, read Mia a bedtime story about a princess who saved herself, and sat with Logan on the couch afterward, exhausted and happy. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For letting me in? For showing me what real life looks like? For not giving up on me when I was too scared to choose myself? You chose yourself. I just stood there. No, you pushed me, challenged me, made me see that I deserved more than I was settling for. She kissed him softly. I'm going to mess this up sometimes. I'm going to work too much and forget to be present and default to CEO mode when I'm stressed. And I'm going to be overprotective of Mia and worry about money and probably embarrass you at fancy events. Sounds perfect. Sounds like a disaster. Same thing. They laughed and Logan felt something settle in his chest, something like hope, like possibility, like home. Monday morning came too fast. Logan dropped Mia at school, then headed to work, nerves jangling. Isabella had texted him at dawn, board meeting at 10. Whatever happens, we're okay. He wanted to believe that. At 9:47, his desk phone rang. All staff meeting, conference room A, 10 minutes. Logan's stomach dropped. This was it. The conference room was packed when he arrived. Every employee crammed in, whispering, speculating. Logan found a spot in the back, trying to blend in. At exactly 10 a.m., Isabella walked in. She looked different. Still professional, still powerful, but something had changed. She stood at the front of the room and waited for silence. I'm going to keep this brief, she said. Effective immediately, I'm stepping down as CEO of Vaughn and Associates. The room erupted. Shocked voices, questions, chaos. Isabella waited for quiet. I'll remain on the board and transition my responsibilities over the next 3 months. Michael Chen will take over as interim CEO. The company is in excellent shape, and I have complete confidence in this team. Why now? Someone called out. Isabella smiled. Small, genuine, real. Because I've spent 10 years building something incredible at the expense of building a life. And I've decided life matters more. She made eye contact with Logan across the room. Just for a second. Then she continued. I'm also aware that my personal life will become a topic of speculation, so I'm addressing it now. I'm in a relationship with someone who works here. It's new and real and none of your business beyond the fact that it exists. HR will handle any concerns about conflicts of interest, but I wanted you to hear it from me first. More whispers. Logan felt eyes turning toward him. That's all. Back to work. Isabella left the room. Logan waited 30 seconds, then followed. He found her in her office, staring out the window at Chicago. You just did that, he said. I did. You just announced to the entire company that I'm choosing myself, that I'm done living for everyone else's expectations. She turned to face him. And that I'm with you. Publicly. No hiding. Isabella, don't tell me it was too much or too fast or that I should have waited. I've waited my whole life. I'm done waiting. Logan crossed the room, pulled her into his arms. I was going to say you're incredible. Oh, and terrifying. That too. And I'm completely in love with you. She pulled back, eyes wide. What? I'm in love with you. Have been for weeks, probably. Just didn't want to admit it because it's crazy and fast and completely illogical. Logan, I know it's too soon. I know we're still figuring this out, but I'm done pretending I don't feel it. Done playing it safe. You taught me that. Isabella's eyes filled with tears. I love you too. I'm terrified and completely unprepared and probably going to screw this up, but I love you. He kissed her, long and deep and certain. When they finally pulled apart, Isabella laughed. We're going to be a disaster. Probably. The board is going to lose their minds. Let them. Your daughter is going to have questions. She already does. This is insane. Completely. But worth it? Logan looked at her. This brilliant, broken, brave woman who'd chosen to tear down her entire life because she wanted something real. Absolutely worth it, he said. 6 months later, Logan stood in Millennium Park watching Mia chase pigeons while Isabella sat beside him, laughing. She'd sold Vaughn and Associates for an amount that made headlines. Used half the money to start a foundation focused on mental health resources for executives. Bought a smaller apartment that she'd decorated herself, badly, with things that actually meant something. She'd started therapy, cut off contact with her father after one final argument where she told him exactly what she thought of his expectations. Learned to ice skate without falling every 3 minutes. And she'd moved in with Logan and Mia 2 months ago, after Mia had asked at breakfast one morning, "Why doesn't Isabella just live here? She's here all the time anyway." It wasn't perfect. Isabella still worked too much sometimes. Logan still worried about money. Mia still asked uncomfortable questions at inappropriate times. But it was real. "Dad!" Mia ran over breathless. "Can we get hot dogs? You just had breakfast." "That was 2 hours ago. I'm starving." Isabella stood. "I'll get them. Same as always? You know our order? Everything on them. I've learned." She kissed Logan quickly. "Be right back." As she walked away, Mia leaned against Logan's leg. "I like her," she said. "I know. Are you going to marry her?" Logan looked at his daughter, 6 years old going on 30. "Maybe someday. If she'll have me." "She will. She uses her happy voice when she talks about you." "Does she?" "Yeah, the same one you use. It's gross." Logan laughed, pulled Mia into a hug. "Love is kind of gross sometimes. But good?" "But good." Isabella returned with hot dogs. They sat on a bench eating lunch, watching the city move around them. Normal people doing normal things on a normal Saturday. Except nothing felt normal anymore. Everything felt better. "What are you thinking about?" Isabella asked, nudging Logan's shoulder. "That 6 months ago I carried you out of a party. Best decision I never made." "I made it." "Then best decision you made for both of us." She smiled. "Changed my whole life." "Changed mine too. For better or worse." Logan looked at Mia, covered in mustard and relish. Looked at Isabella, former billionaire CEO, now eating a hot dog in a public park without caring who saw. Looked at his life, messy and complicated and full. "For better," he said. "Definitely for better." Isabella leaned her head on his shoulder. "Good, because you're stuck with me now." "Sounds perfect." "Sounds like a disaster." "Same thing." They sat in the afternoon sun, 3 people who'd found each other when they weren't looking, who'd chosen the terrifying option, who'd torn down walls and built something real in their place. It wasn't the fairy tale ending. There were still hard days, still arguments about whose turn it was to do dishes, still moments when fear crept in and whispered that this couldn't last. But they showed up anyway, chose each other anyway, built a life that mattered anyway. And sometimes that was enough. Sometimes that was everything. Mia finished her hot dog, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "Can we go ice skating? Again?" Logan groaned. "We went last week." "But Isabella's getting better. She only fell once last time." Isabella laughed. "Thanks for the confidence, kid." "You're welcome, so can we?" Logan looked at Isabella. She shrugged, smiling. "Why not?" he said.
Let's go fall down on ice together. That's the spirit, Isabella said, standing and pulling him up.
They walked through the park, Mia skipping ahead, Logan and Isabella's hands intertwined, the November afternoon perfect and imperfect and real. No one had ever told him he deserved more, until the night he carried a billionaire home. And by morning, the most powerful woman in the city stood at his door, no longer untouchable. Just human, just real, just his. And that made all the difference.